Hello, Tennessee Voices viewers and listeners. This is David Plazas, the Opinion and Engagement Director for the USA Today Network Tennessee and the Tennessean. Today, I have the pleasure of having as my guests Dr. Ricki Gibbs, Principal at Warner Arts Magnet Elementary School, and Ali Jenkins, Communities and School Site Coordinator at Warner Arts Magnet Elementary School. Ricki and Ali, how are you both doing today?
Great, can't complain.
Awesome, yeah, glad to be here.
Well, thank you so much for being here. And you recently wrote a guest column, How the Warner Exchange Brought Our Community Together. For people who are not yet familiar, could you talk a little bit about what the Warner Exchange is and how it developed?
Go for it.
Yeah, so the Warner Exchange is our approach to improving our school's attendance. So we're located right in the heart of East Nashville, and many of our families whose students miss school the most, we've learned are our families that have the most need. So in an effort to really partner with our families, we came up with this idea called the Warner Exchange. So at its core, families earn what we call Warner Bucks each day that they send their child to school. And then once a month, they use those Warner Bucks and come shop for basic need items like laundry detergent, shampoo, soap, those things that cost extra money each month. So our hope in this is partnering with our families to provide what they need while also improving their child's overall academic success.
And I'll tell you the biggest difference, because a lot of schools will say, well, okay, well, I have a clothing closet, or we have a food pantry where families can come and get what they need. The exciting part about this, when we talk about partnering with parents, this isn't a handout. We have structured this where our families, because each day that a child comes to school, that our young scholars earn 5 Warner Bucks, it's about a process of earning. So parents have an vested interest in ensuring that their child comes to school every day, because that's how they'll be able to earn those bucks to come and do the shopping. So the more your child comes to school, the more you're able to spend to cover those basic needs. And at the school level, we win because we can't teach our scholars if they're not here. So it's a win-win on both ends. Our parents are able to get what they need to cover the basic necessities of life, but then our scholars are getting what they need by being in school every day to receive a world-class education.
That's great. I love this line in the guest column, which I'll be hosting within this podcast episode. I'll never forget watching families walk into the Warner Exchange for the first time. Many were shocked and excited to see shelves fully stocked with items that ensure our families' basic needs are met. I mean, that's very beautiful. And I can only imagine how people felt a sense of gratitude and also a sense of belonging. Is that what you saw?
Yeah, so it's funny because I remember a parent walking in and she was like, this isn't what I was expecting. Yeah. So, it was the one of those, they thought, well, maybe I was going to walk in and see hand me out, hand down type items or, gently used things. And they walked in and saw, because of the overwhelming support of the community, they walked in and saw shelves that looked just like Kroger shelves look, or a Target shelf, or a Walmart, where you had your items neatly in a row, fresh out of the wrappers, things that are still sealed. And all these items are items that they are able to just take home. And these are items that we know when we go to the grocery store on the weekends that run your store bill up, when we're talking about laundry detergent, deodorant, feminine hygiene products, shelf stable items, or just, soap or paper towels, all the things that we have to really survive in this world. They're able to just come into the school and get it. And the beautiful thing of it is this isn't just only for our students who have been identified by the state as economically disadvantaged and have, received government assistance. What we've learned, especially, as we've experienced this pandemic, our working families are struggling as well. There's a lot of families who are considered middle class, but we're really only a couple paychecks away from being on some really hard times. So being able to help everyone has been a true blessing, because it takes that burden off of families so that they can focus on just doing other things and creating that, what we call that disposable income, because once families have that disposable income, they're able to provide experiences on the weekend for their scholars. So that time that their families can go to the zoo or go to the Adventure Science Center, things of that nature, all the beautiful sites that we have here in Nashville, it just gives them that opportunity to do those things.
And I would add too, I think something we notice when families come in is they, especially if it's their first time, they expect it to be them shopping for their child, like for treats for them or things like that. And they're always surprised when we're like, no, this is 100% for you, for your family. So I think that's a really unique piece of it that surprises our families.
Would you talk a little bit about the history of the school and the student population, please?
Yeah, so Warner is a school that sits in the middle of the zip code in East Nashville, 37206. Historically, and when I say historically, this changed within the last 3 years. But before that, the previous 20 to 30 years, Warner was 99% Black. Our zip code in East Nashville is 66% white. So we always, when we first got here, we asked the question, well, how is this even possible that a school sits in the middle of this thriving community, is 99% African-American, 99% economically disadvantaged, and had been a failing school and was in the bottom 2% of the state when it came to growth as well as achievement. The school historically had been what in Tennessee, you know, we have the TBOS system that looks at student growth, and that's levels 1 through 5. The school had been historically a level 1 school. Because we've been able to do some really exciting things when it comes to self-regulation, when it comes to improving academics, growing through the arts, having the Warner Exchange where we've circled arms around our scholars, where the whole community has gotten involved. We've gone from a level 1 school to a level 5 school, which is the highest that you can be in the state. We've gone from being in the bottom 2% to move to the 16th percentile. We've actually increased enrollment from 180 students to well over 300 students. We've gone from being 99% Black to about 76% Black, 20% white, and about 4% Hispanic. So not only has our student population grown tremendously, we've been able to diversify our population, and now Warner really reflects East Nashville, really reflects our world, where we've pride ourselves on having diversity, being racially, having diversity when it comes to socioeconomics. We have diversity when it comes to family structures. We have scholars that have 2 moms, 2 dads. We have scholars that have a mom and a dad. We have scholars that have been raised by single parents, by grandparents. So you have that diversity, and it's truly about creating a school where our scholars understand that there are people in our community that don't know them, that don't look like them, that may not even have the same religious beliefs in them, but they love them, they care about them, and they're wanting to do whatever they can to wrap their arms not only around them, but wrap their arms around the school, because they want their neighborhood school to be successful.
One thing I enjoyed reading when I was looking at the website for Warner was we use standards-based art content and 21st century skills like critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity to engage scholars and leverage development and learning across the curriculum. Those are great things to hear. We often, sometimes dismiss critical thinking in many cases, or at least recently, and I really enjoy the fact that you're emphasizing that in addition to arts. So when a school is an art school, when a parent is trying to figure out and research, is this the right school for my child? What do you tell them?
When we talk about being an arts magnet, it's about experiences. So while every elementary school in the city will offer your reading, your math, even when it comes to the arts, music, art, PE, we grow students with experiences. So not only do we offer art, music, and PE, but we also offer strings, where our scholars learn how to play the violin and the cello. We offer Chinese drumming. We have a guitar club. We have an after-school choir. Next year, we're creating a drama department. So our scholars have the ability to grow in the arts, but even in the academics. When you talked about critical thinking, one of the best ways I can always describe this is for all of our listeners to think about the story of the 3 little pigs. We all know that story. The first little pig made that house of straw. The big bad wolf came, blew it down. They ran to the brother's house. But what we do is we never hear from the first little pig again because the story just continues on. We bring stories like that to life. And now Jenkins will take on the embody the first little pig, and the rest of the class, we will start asking her questions, and we call it a hot seating strategy. So now that's the critical thinking that brings out through the arts. Jenkins becomes the first little pig, and we ask her, well, why'd you build your house of straw? When the big bad wolf came, were you scared? When you ran to your brother's house that was made of sticks, why didn't you automatically go to the house that was made of bricks? Because that would have been the safest place. And so she has to embody that character, begin answering those questions. Now we're pushing critical thinking because we're challenging our students to find parts of the text that aren't explicitly stated, but then also we find our way to begin having our scholars have hard conversations with each other, because what we found was when scholars ask each other specific and high quality questions, it in turn elicits specific and high quality responses. And that's how we began to really push those critical thinking skills that when someone think of the story Three Little Pigs, you never would have thought, oh, we can really have some high thinking out of that story. But that's the beauty of having an arts magnet and dealing with children's literature. We can bring those stories to life.
That's great there. Thank you. This is the time of the show I always like to ask guests what they've been doing to stay healthy and well during this time of pandemic. You know, many leaders sometimes forget to take care of themselves during times of crisis because they're taking care of other people. But could you share a little bit about what you're reading, watching, doing, just to help yourself with your own wellness?
For me, I think it has been like modifying my exercise. So I used to go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. And then the gym closed. And at first it was like, I didn't know who I was without the gym, and then had to just kind of shift my thinking and spend more time outside, spend more time working out with others whose gyms were closed. So I think for me, it's been spending time outside. I started gardening, which was exciting, cool. I didn't ever have time before to like grow things in my yard. So that was awesome. And then I learned how to bake bread along with, I think, everyone else. And I've actually continued that, which has been really cool. But I think just like slowing down my pace a little bit has been really good.
Yeah. So I will tell all the listeners, I am very educated, have a terminal degree in education. Shout out to Lipscomb University, where I did my doctoral work. But I am a very basics when it comes to self-care and relaxation. I spend a lot of time in the gym, so I go to Orange Theory Fitness, the best interval training that I've done since I stopped playing football. So shouts out to them. But then also when I need just that mindless activity, I have a PlayStation 5 and I get on John Madden football, and I've been playing that same video game since 1997. And it's just one that it's fun to me because my username is Principal Gibbs on there. So I play, you know, obviously the younger kids like, are you really a principal? And you know, you're 17, 18 getting beat in a video game by somebody that's pushing 40. But it's one of those, it's an activity that I can do that doesn't require a lot of brain power. It's a lot of strategy, but it's just relaxation for me. And it's my getaway when I want to just put things down and just do something that's all about me and I could just have fun. I'm a gamer at heart. So you get John Madden football in front of me and I could sit there for hours.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. You know, we're recording this conversation on March 23rd, and just last night I was watching one of my favorite news shows, Abbott Elementary. I don't know if you've seen that show.
Yeah.
And it gets me to thinking about if you could tell your own story of how you got into education, what drove you to be an educator?
Well, I started out in the nonprofit world, running summer and after school programs. And I think through that, realized the potential that schools have and the amount of time that they have with students every day, and was really drawn to that as this like central place for our community and for our families. And so I transitioned to another nonprofit that places me here in elementary school every day, because I love this idea of schools being this hub for community partners, families, students, as this place of learning and growth.
So, and for me, I was someone that I always performed well academically in school, but I was one of the students that when you saw my name on your roster as educators, you was like, he's in my class. So I got in a lot of trouble in school. And early on, I realized that when I became an adult and finished college, that I wanted to do something that impacted the youth, simply because I knew it was an educator who changed my life. And what I realized in education, especially in our country, we're built to be a reactive system. If a child is struggling with behavior, we put a plan in place to help that child. If a child is struggling with academics, we put a plan in place and we support that child. But I've always thought that if we can move from being a reactive system to a proactive system, because we know there will be children that will struggle. We know there will be children that have trauma or anxiety or depression. How can I be that agent of change to do things on the front end so our scholars can be more successful on the back end? So I knew I wanted to do that. And then I watched the movie Lean on Me with that story of Joe Clark and East Side High. And I was like, I didn't want to go and be that super aggressive personality like Joe Clark was, but I wanted to have that kind of impact where he stood on them steps after the school made all that progress. Everybody was excited. The kids running up to him, hugging him, because he did what I like to call, he broke the mirror. A lot of our scholars only have that mirror mentality. They can only see what's right in front of them. He knocked that mirror down and created a window, because now you knock the mirror down and you look through the window, our scholars can see beyond today's realities and look towards tomorrow's future and tomorrow's possibility. So I wanted to be that mirror breaker that broke mirrors and created windows for our scholars. And that's what really drove me into education.
Excellent. I am so grateful to have both of you on the show today. Again, for the audience, this is Dr. Ricki Gibbs, principal at Warner Arts Magnet Elementary School, and Ali Jenkins, Community and Schools Site Coordinator for Warner Arts Magnet Elementary School. We're coming to the end of our conversation, but I always like to ask my guests at the end if they would leave our audience with some words of wisdom to help us get through this time.
So I'll leave you with my favorite quote. It's by the Queen, Angela Davis. And as we get through this time, and if you want to be that changer, you want to be that disruptor, that person that has that, make that good trouble. Angela Davis told us, I am no longer accepting the things I cannot change. I'm changing the things I cannot accept. So whatever industry that you're in, if you're out to really make changes, if something is happening and you cannot accept it, don't make the change. Be a better person. More importantly, we talk about being part of humankind all the time. We're human, but we also have to remember we must be kind to one another.
Thank you. And Ellie?
Yeah, I would just say, I think find your place. I think we all care about something, and there's a way to contribute to that. So whether that is schools or the environment, just find your place and make a difference no matter how small it is.
Well, thank you so much to the two of you. May you be well, stay well and healthy. And I'm grateful for you agreeing to be on the show today.
Thank you.